State could get ready to play either Sunday or Monday, and they informed us late in the week that they would not be able to get prepared to play. So our opening game will be Wednesday against Missouri, and then Friday we're scheduled to play Seton Hall.
Okay, we'll open it up for questions, and we'll go to Matt Preem first.
I guess no coach is going to turn away more time to prepare. Have you been able to use games on film with around the country to emphasize certain things or anything of that nature for your group, or more preparation? How you feel like that has helped you?
Well, it's been a tough week. The guys wanted to play, and so it's been a tough week for them. We had, not a very good practice Wednesday or Friday when, things were, when we didn't play a game because they wanted to play. And so they weren't real happy about that and disappointed. And I understand that, but I did emphasize it to them all along. This was the kind of year it was going to be. And, things out of our control. We couldn't get a game scheduled in a day, with Eastern Washington and Portland State not being able to play. It's just what it is. And we've got to be ready for that throughout the year. Trouble is, it's the first week of the season, and they see, I think about 100 schools still haven't played, but we're one of the ones that haven't, and so that makes it tough.
Okay, next we'll go to James Crepia.
Dana, just the latest on personnel. Last we had spoken to you, you said Jalen was a little banged up, and then LJ and Aaron, their waivers, and if they're not cleared, can they travel?
They haven't been cleared. They will travel with us. The new rule, that allows for them to go. Transfers can go on the road this year. Jalen's better. We got a little banged up here in practice. We'll have to wait and see, who's ready to go. But, it's just part of it. It's been a long preseason. We had a couple of weeks where we didn't have everybody because of the virus and that. So we fought through it all, just trying to get to Wednesday. Need to play a game. The guys want to play a game. Heck, I want to play a game. We need to play somebody else. So whoever's ready to go, we'll get on the plane and be ready to go.
All right, let's go to Chris Hansen.
My bad. When you said that Portland State was unable to play, was that a COVID issue? Or was that just that they didn't have enough time to get ready issue? And then on the second thing is just can you kind of take us through how much of a scramble it was in the last week for you guys to try to secure a game at all for this week?
From what I understand with Portland, they just felt like it wasn't enough time to get ready. I don't think they have a COVID issue at all. I think they needed more time to get ready because of their situation. I'm not quite sure what their situation is, but they didn't have as many days to get ready or needed some more days to get ready. So, and it's been a scramble. All the coaches have been on the phone. I called Creighton because I know they were out of their MTE in South Dakota. And so I just called them for a game and started talking, and we had been talking to Missouri. Missouri and us, we were supposed to go to Orlando together. We were supposed to go to South Dakota together. Both of those got canceled. We both talked about going to Mohegan Sun, and we did commit to that. And then they changed our opponents a couple times. And so neither Missouri or us felt comfortable with making that long trip and not knowing who we were going to play. Although it's worked out very well for other schools at the Mohegan Sun, 2-3 weeks ago when we were trying to make this decision, we just didn't know. And so we had stayed in contact with Missouri. They needed a game. We needed a game. And I was talking to Creighton. So we're kind of a backup for Creighton if one of their games gets canceled while we're there. We were in touch with Seton Hall. They decided to come to Omaha to play us also, kind of meet in the middle. We didn't want to go all the way to New Jersey. They didn't want to come all the way to Oregon. So we decided to meet in the middle and play in Omaha. So Creighton's been unbelievable, very accommodating, trying to work with us, trying to help us out. So I really appreciate that. But it has been a scramble.
Okay, we'll go to Julian next.
Dana, how much does it help, at least for this first week? You talk of lack of preparation, but that you were originally going to play Mizzou in Bubbleville, and then Seton Hall, you played them last year, and there's a lot of similar personnel. So how much will that help during this week when you're just trying to get games in and the lack of preparation time for teams?
Well, basketball always has been, you've had a couple days to get ready for teams, so I don't want to make a big deal. Our staff is used to it. I've got 2 guys working on Missouri, got, 2 guys working on Seton Hall, and so Kevin and Josh, Mike, Tony, it's all hands on decks. We can't go out recruiting, so we're all in the office anyway. So, we'll have 2 guys working on Mizzou and 2 guys working on Seton Hall. And, I'll work with the 2 guys to get ready for Missouri, and then I'll work with the other 2 guys to get ready for Seton Hall. And there are no excuses. We're going to be ready. Missouri's, Coach Martin was at Cal. He was at Missouri State before that. So we played him at Creighton. We played him at Cal. They're familiar with us, and Coach Martin's teams have always been hard-nosed, tough, defensive teams, and they were really good. They held opponents to 40% from the field last year, 28 from 3. So we know defensively they'll be really good, and they'll play really hard, and they're very experienced. And they got 4 starters back and 10 upperclassmen. It's obviously not the game we wanted to have to open up with, but, it is what it is.
Okay, AJ, we'll go to you next. Your backdrop reminds us that we are headed to Maui next year for better times. Take a question from you.
Coach, I realize you haven't played any basketball yet, but I was just wondering, and I was taking a look at your roster and I couldn't figure this out. So I'd ask for myself, how good can this team be in terms of on their interior defense, their defense down in the paint?
Well, I think, that we should be pretty good eventually. I don't know. I've got to be really honest. And I told the team, I don't even know what to expect this week. When you haven't played any games, you haven't played, this is so non-typical of any preseason that, we didn't have all summer to work, and missed the first couple of weeks of practice with guys out. So, I don't know what to expect. And I told our guys that we got to go be ready to compete and play and work through the ups and downs, of whatever happens. But to answer your question, and Folly Dante ought to be a year improved inside. Eugene's a very good defender. Chandler ought to be better. And Luke War, who redshirted last year, has some length, and he's just got to use that length. But it'll take some time for him to really be confident as a defender since he hasn't played much. But, Chandler's got good basketball instincts. Eugene's physical. Dante's a year older now. So I'd be disappointed, if we weren't a good team inside. Now, do we have the shot blockers that we've had traditionally with Kenny Wooten and those? No, we didn't last year. That was part of our defensive struggles last year, is we didn't clean up a lot of things around the rim. And I'm hoping Dante can be a little bit more of a presence in there. I'm hoping Luke Ward, Chandler, can do a little bit more inside and help us. So I think we're going to be okay there. Will it take some time? We got a freshman, 2 sophomores, and 1 experienced guy. So it may take some time for it to look good, but I do think the potential's there.
All right, let's go back to James.
Dana, more on the scheduling. You had mentioned last time, hey, maybe we should have done what the women did and gone to 22. And apparently the league is still very much weighing that option. I'm sure that was no less frustrating for you to both hear and then see Cal up the road at Oregon State last week and not just have them in Stanford, who wasn't playing, play you. when time seemed to be there. Would 22 work as it's presently constructed as far as how many non-conference games you've still got lined up? And I know you're close with Lon too, and they had a game fall through this week. Is there a possibility of Oklahoma getting involved somehow amidst this trip?
Oklahoma's got the problem. They're not able to play, James. They haven't played yet either. They had 2 of their games postponed or canceled already, and I think a third one. So, the scheduling, we're playing it by ear, James. We had contracts, but the contract numbers had to be changed. So the other schools have an out unless we want to pay, and we don't have any fans. The numbers are all skewed this year because of everything. So, and the games we had scheduled before November 25th automatically were gone. Michigan here, BYU and Portland, all those things. And the games afterwards, the contracts all had to be rewritten, and teams, like I said, no fault at Eastern at all, but they had 2 kids, that got positive. They didn't feel like they could play the game, and that's their decision, and I understand that. I want guys to want to play, and so I don't know what we're going to do, James. To answer your question, I'd play 22. That'd give us USC and Washington State again, which would be great, but again, everybody's on a different playing surface. Everybody's got different problems. Some teams are finding games, some teams aren't.
James, I know you're just trying to get us another trip to Pullman. Appreciate that. Next question will go to Matt Preem.
Have you watched much basketball this first week? And I guess just what stands out if you have watched any of these other games?
Sure. No, a few hours to practice and a few hours with our team, and just wanted to try to watch as much as we can. So yeah, I've been watching games. I think a lot of teams are going through what I'm talking about. Just, if you're inexperienced, you're really struggling with no exhibition games, no scrimmages. A lot of that looks like they're doing right there, just trying to get ready, trying to get organized. And, some of the more experienced teams look a little better. You can tell kind of when teams are trying to incorporate 3 or 4 new guys, it looks a little different. But I think the competition's been good. I think teams are playing really hard. I watched Houston and Texas Tech yesterday, and, I thought there was going to be a fight. Those 2 teams are getting after it, and so, no, I enjoyed watching games. It's great to have college basketball back. I wish we could have been a part of it last week, but as I mentioned, it is what it is. We got to move forward.
All right. Do we have any more questions? Jerry, go ahead. And Warren, go after Jerry.
Yeah, Coach, you said that the practices didn't go too well, but who has been shooting well and who has stood out consistently, been the most consistent players, you would think?
Well, as you kind of expect, our vets, Will and Chris, who have played a lot for us, have been really good. Eugene inside has been really solid. Dante's starting to come along. His conditioning has gotten better. He's played pretty well. And then all the new guys, Chandler's been solid, kind of had moments, which is really encouraging as a coach, that eventually I think we can really put things together, but they haven't come together as quickly as I hope they would. We haven't been able to, see ourselves against other teams and start evaluating our weaknesses, that other teams expose. And usually by this time we'd played 2 scrimmages, we'd gone to play Oklahoma somewhere and had an exhibition game, and, we had been exposed in some areas. And I'm afraid we might get exposed Wednesday and Friday and figure out some things we need to work on. But, the guys' effort's been good. It's just, it's been a long period with no games and no scrimmages, no outside competition. And basketball teams just aren't used to that, so it's been really different for our team. I think they've handled it well for the most part until those games got canceled. Last week they were handling it really good, but they wanted to play. And then it's really hard when you got to watch everybody else play on TV and you're not ready, to go. So I know it's been tough on them, but I told them again, there are no excuses. You guys are vets, you're older players. I know you're disappointed. I don't want to hear it. We got to play, and nobody cares, at the end of the season, they're not going to say, oh, well, they didn't have those first couple games. It is what it is, guys. You just got to go play. And, you're seeing it all with the football teams. Utah football had a couple games canceled early. Now they're trying, everybody's had their hardships. Our football team's been fortunate. We haven't had any games canceled. But you look up and down the league or the conference and, there's cancellations in football. And, I think Washington played their first game yesterday. Stanford's got their first game today. We got ours Wednesday. Utah's Thursday. So we had 4 teams as of yesterday hadn't played. And Washington had a tough game against Baylor. So, it just, those, there are going to be those ups and downs, and there's going to be unequal preparation time. And so I've been telling our team that those ups and downs, we just can't make any excuses. Missouri's played a game, we haven't. It is what it is. Seton Hall's going to have 2 or 3 under their belt when we play them. It is what it is. You got to get ready to play, and hopefully we'll be healthy. That's my hope throughout the season. We just stay injury free, and the virus doesn't affect our team. Those are the 2 things, and then we just got to go swing away with whoever's available.
All right. Thank you.
Hey, Dana, how unusual is it for you to get on the phone and try to search out those games? You talked about, getting on the phone. Is that unusual for you?
Well, usually you're doing it in the summer or the year before. You're not doing it a week before you're supposed to play. Yeah. But I think there's a lot more conversation between head coaches. I called Kevin Willard at Seton Hall and said, hey, you need a game, I need a game. You don't want to come all the way to Oregon. What if I go to Omaha, you go to Omaha? Is there any way? And Kevin's really competitive guy, goes, we'll be there. We need a game, we'll be there. And at that moment, I know it was locked in, because, Kevin wanted to play and I wanted to play. And I told you about our ups and downs with Missouri. We were supposed to go to Orlando together. That got canceled. Then we agreed to go to South Dakota together. That got canceled. Then it was Mohegan Sun, and they kept changing opponents on us, and we didn't feel comfortable with that. So, it's been a crazy scenario to get to where we are today. But we're going to Omaha. We are playing Missouri on Wednesday. We're playing Seton Hall on Friday. If somebody gets a game canceled during the week, we may be there on Sunday playing. Okay. And then we're flying home for finals. And so we have got 2 games scheduled. We may play a third if somebody wants to play. If somebody gets a game canceled and can meet us in Omaha, we may play there. And again, I can't say enough thanks to Creighton for putting up with us and helping us out here, because we were in a jam. We couldn't, Missouri didn't really, want to fly out here. To fly to Missouri just to play 1 game but to go to the Midwest and play 2, possibility of 3, that makes it, financially, worth it. And so again, this is, a little bubble. And the other thing, to be real honest, I think it's a good test to see how a mini bubble would work. Because I think, we still have to talk about pods during the conference season. I don't know what changes will happen the next 6 weeks. Nobody, 6 weeks, nobody does. You know, Dr. Fauci's right, and this thing takes off like, you know, the post Thanksgiving deal. You know, are we going to be able to maybe just go to one location and set up a little pod there and play 3 or 4 games in the conference?
Yep.
You know, I don't think any of those things, you know, can be ruled out at this point. And so I think this is a little bit of a test case for one of those little pods.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm hoping it goes well. So, you know, if things get a little crazy here in December, that could be an option for us in January and February. And again, I'm just throwing that out here because these circumstances are so unique, and our players are frustrated because it's not what it typically is. You know, our coaching staff, you know, I told our guys, just roll with it. You know, we just got to roll with it, and we got to get our guys to compete. We want to play well, but if we're not going to roll with it, then our players aren't going to roll with it. And so, very unusual circumstances, but you know, we're just going to go play. And I want our guys to have fun, you know, through this whole thing. You know, I don't know if college kids have ever been under more pressure. I mean, and I take that as our team. In 40 years of doing this, no classes, no interaction with anybody, can't go out to eat, no parties. You know, that's not college.
Yeah.
I mean, this isn't college. Our freshmen are like, man, you know, they're in their dorm rooms or apartments, and that's it. They come over to practice. They've been really good. We test every day. They got to get up 4 hours before practice and get swabbed and get tested. And they've done a tremendous job with that. But this isn't college. These guys are under a lot of stress. You know, ball's their only outlet. Otherwise, they're in their apartments just sitting there.
Yeah.
And for 18, 19, 20-year-old kids, and, you know, I know this is a stressful situation. You know, kids in high school, kids in elementary school, you know, high school schedules getting canceled, you know, guys not knowing if they're even going to play a high school game. You know, that's, I can't imagine my senior year, although I was a bad player and it wasn't a very good year for me anyway, but I still wanted to play. You know, guys still want to play. And so our guys are under a lot of stress. And so I want it to be fun. You know, I keep telling them, you know, this is your outlet, guys. Just put a smile on your face and let's swing away, have some fun. I'll try not to complain too much. You know, let's just swing away. We got to get organized, but, you know, let's have some fun. That's what this is all about. You know, I want you to enjoy it. So through all these circumstances, we don't want to lose sight of that.
Dana, thanks so much. Thanks, Greg. Appreciate it.
All right, everyone. Thanks, Coach. Everybody have a good week, and we'll see you when we get back.